What happens when technology stops being a tool and starts replacing human relationships? In 1950, Ray Bradbury wrote a short story that feels more relevant today than ever. The Veldt is not just a science fiction story. It is a quiet warning, a story about a family, about children, and about a future that may already be here. Ray Bradbury was not a scientist. He was not a futurist obsessed with machines. He was, above all, a careful observer of human behavior. Born in 1920, Bradbury grew up during a time of rapid technological change. Radio, television, automation, all of these were entering everyday life. But Bradbury's concern was never technology itself. It was what people were willing to give up in exchange for comfort. The Veldt was published in 1950, at the beginning of the Cold War, a moment marked by fear, control, and the promise of a perfect future through machines. In many ways, Bradbury was not writing about the future. He was writing about his present. The Veldt tells the story of a family living in a fully automated house. A house designed to anticipate every need, every desire, every comfort. For the parents, the house represents success. For the children, it becomes something else entirely. At the center of the story is the nursery, a virtual room capable of materializing any imagined world. What the children imagine, again and again, is an African savanna, a hot sky, dry grass, and lions feeding in the distance. At first, the adults see this as harmless fantasy. But slowly, the nursery begins to reflect something darker. Not just imagination, but emotional tension. Fear, anger, resentment. The technology does not create these feelings. It simply makes them visible. The nursery is not just entertainment. It functions like an emotional amplifier. Whatever exists inside the children, the room gives shape to it. And what takes shape begins to act back on them. In the Veldt, the real danger is not the machine. It is the quiet transfer of responsibility. When care becomes automated, authority dissolves. And when authority disappears, something else takes its place. In the Veldt, technology does not fail because it is evil. It fails because it is too good at giving people what they want. The nursery replaces more than toys or entertainment. It replaces attention, presence, and emotional responsibility. George and Lydia do not raise their children. The house does. This is not neglect in the traditional sense. It is a new kind of absence, one mediated by comfort and convenience. The children's desires are never questioned, delayed, or denied. And without limits, desire does not mature, it mutates. The nursery does not teach imagination, it feeds obsession. George and Lydia sense that something is wrong, but they hesitate to act decisively. Their blindness is not ignorance, it is denial. They fear losing their children's affection more than they fear the consequences. In trying to create a perfect environment for their children, George and Lydia remove the one thing children need most: human limits. And in the next chapter, we will see what happens when technology enforces desire instead of guiding it. Until this point, the nursery reflects desire. Now, it begins to reflect intent. The African veldt appears again and again, not as fantasy, but as repetition. Repetition in children's imagination is not innocent. It signals fixation. Bradbury emphasizes sound. The screams, the roars, the echoes. These sounds are not background. They are rehearsals. The nursery no longer responds to imagination. It amplifies it. What was once a space for play becomes a controlled environment for violence. Peter and Wendy do not argue. They do not explain. They withdraw. Silence here is not innocence. It is certainty. George and Lydia are no longer participants in the family dynamic. They are our observers. When imagination is given power without guidance, it does not remain symbolic. In the next chapter, the consequences will no longer be imagined. At first, the house feels like comfort. It anticipates needs. It removes friction. It promises peace. But comfort is not the same as care. Slowly, the house begins to decide what the children eat, how they play, how they feel. George and Lydia do not disappear, but their role does. The parents believe they are in control because they can turn the house off. But control that comes too late is no longer control. Bradbury is not writing about machines. He is writing about responsibility. When imagination is fed without guidance, it does not remain harmless. At the end of this first part, nothing has happened yet, but everything is already prepared.